It's conference season. The SAAs just wrapped up. I think the AAPAs are still happening. The CAAs are next month. I don't know when the AAAs are, but it doesn't matter. The point is, this is the time of year where there are a lot of academic conferences happening, especially for anthropologists like me. And in talking to a lot of my friends who are new to the master's program, sounds like a lot of you guys are going to be going to your first ever academic conference. So I have some kind of general tips to make it a little bit less daunting. Because what it sounds like I'm hearing from people is that conferences are scary. And I want to make them a little bit less scary for you. I'm in no way an expert, but I've been to a few. And I think that the tips that I remind myself of every time I go to a conference could be helpful to you. Maybe. Hopefully. So I have 5 different things that I hope will make this conference season a little bit less stressful for you. Number 1 is to remember that it's okay to be nervous. Going to conferences, especially as an early stage career academic, are really, really scary. And you're gonna be pretty nervous. But it's just really important to remember that that's okay. And that there are going to be a lot of other people in the exact same kind of situation as you who are also nervous and who are also scared and who are also incredibly awkward and really worried about saying something totally stupid to someone really important. Because I've done that. And I'll probably do that again. But it's okay because it just all rolls off you and people don't really remember all the awful things I've ever said. I hope. It's totally okay to go to conferences by yourself, but I find that going with a friend or 2 or even a crew of friends makes it a lot easier. Having a friend or a group of friends gives you kind of a support system, which I think is really important if you're nervous about things like conferences. You don't have to spend all of your time with the people you came with. In fact, that would be silly because what's the point of going to a conference to meet people if you just hang out with the same people? So, check in however many times a day to see where everybody is, to see if everyone's okay. It could be in a group chat or a text message, or it could just say, we're meeting at the food court at lunchtime to have lunch together. And that's really important too. Meals are great to have friends with because there's nothing more uncomfortable than realizing you have no one to eat a meal with. You feel kind of like you're in high school all over again, walking into the cafeteria and thinking, what table do I sit at? And that helps me at least feel a lot less nervous. But on the other hand, don't be afraid to go at it alone. Part of being an academic is being able to schmooze a little bit and to meet new people and to talk to new people. And that's what you're at the conference for, is to expose yourself to new people and new ideas. My number 2 tip is to take advantage of special events. A lot of conferences will have special events like field trips or dinners or panels and things like that. What's great about these things, they often give you special access to locations, people, or data that you wouldn't normally have access to. And so really take advantage of these events because if you're already paying to go to the conference, why not go to special things? Take advantage of everything that the conference has to offer and don't be afraid. You're going to look back on all those times where you were afraid to take a chance and go to something that may be awkward and think about all of the cool stuff you missed out on. I know I feel that way. Tip number 3 is to go to talks and panels on the things that you are interested in. So of course it's really important to go to any panel that is at all related to the work that you're doing. But on top of that, it's also really important to try to schedule time to go to panels or talks on things that you're interested in but might not be actively working on. Because you don't know where you're going to be in a few years. It's important to kind of not just be so hyper-focused in what you're working on, but what you're also interested in. I think it's really important to just go to anything that even sounds remotely interesting to you. And if it ends up being really boring, you wasted 15 minutes of your life. It's not going to be the end of the world. Which leads me to tip number 4, which is probably the most uncomfortable one, but that's to introduce yourself to people and talk to people. It can be awkward going to introduce yourself to people, but that's really how you make these connections, and that's what conferences are kind of about in a lot of ways, is meeting all of the other people who are working on the things that excite you. It's important to remember that there's a lot of people who are going to be doing these introductions at conferences, so it's not weird for you to go up to somebody and introduce yourself. It's a totally normal, kind of expected thing. You might meet future supervisors or mentors or even collaborators. If you're really uncomfortable with the idea of going up to a stranger and introducing yourself, you can have a script ready. And I know I always do because I say stupid things when I don't prepare myself. And it can be as simple as, "Hi, my name's so-and-so. I I work with Dr. So-and-so, although I did my master's with Dr. So-and-so. I really like the way you discussed this in your topic because it relates to this thing that I'm working on. And I'm really intrigued by how people are really starting to talk about this thing. Anyways, it was really great to meet you, and I hope to see more of your work. And that's all you have to do. It could be bad and it could go wrong, but the more you do it, the easier it gets. My fifth tip is to make use of social media. We live in the modern world, and in the modern world, people use social media at conferences. Twitter especially is kind of king, at least at the conferences that I've been to. It's really good to learn the hashtag at the conference you're at and to follow that, because that way you can be part of the conference if you want to use the hashtag, but it's also a really good way to keep up on tips about the conference, like where to go for dinner, where to charge your phone, what panels are happening now, which panels are behind, anything like that. So learn the hashtag, use it, and follow it. Other forms of social media where you're going to be able to find people at conferences are things like Instagram and Facebook and even Tumblr. So even though Twitter is often king, it's good to kind of see what other social media people are using at the conference and maybe take part in some other ones, because that way you'll find other young academics and graduate students like yourself. I know I said I only have 5, but I kind of have 6 tips. The 6th one is pretty basic, but it's have fun. You're at a conference to learn, and you're at a conference to meet people, of course. That's what they're for. But if you're paying like $500 to go, you might as well have a good time. Part of being an academic is enjoying the things that you have to do. So enjoy the conferences that you have to go to, because then you're going to want to go to them. Treat the conference like a professional event, but one that you can have fun at, and one where you can let loose a little bit. All right, go have fun. Maybe I'll see you guys at the next conference. Bye.